Hi, my name is Frida Sten, and this is my book review of Ritual of Ruin, Book 7 of Kel Kade's King's Dark Tidings series. Now, as you may know by now, I do not like talking to the camera, and so instead of doing that, I am going to make some fan art and calligraphy art while I talk about the book. So yeah, I know you're disappointed not to get to watch this stunning face, but I do believe you'll change your mind when you see my beautiful art. I am going to keep the spoiler-free part of this book short. I enjoy this book, but the first 11 hours are basically split between Reskin and Asaria doing things and Wesson and his gang doing things in Kaibane. To me, the Wesson part got boring quick, and although I liked what Asaria and Reskin were doing, it did feel repetitive after at least 7 hours of them doing it. Seriously, the only main characters Reskin speak to for the first 11 hours are Asaria and Wesson. That's not entirely fair. He does talk to Malseus and Asaria for like 3 seconds. But you know what? That could have been okay if we'd actually gotten to see the other characters we know and love interact with each other. But we only see Wesson's group do that, and even then there's barely anything. There were some new characters who I didn't dislike, but it was frustrating when some randoms I don't care about got more attention than even one of the dozens of characters I love. I suspect the new character we were with the most got so much page time because she will be very important to the rest of the plot. But just because I understand it doesn't mean I like it. If you are considering not reading this book, and what attracted you to this series was the characters and their relationships with each other, then honestly don't read this book. Reskin got a lot of individual character development, but this happens separately from basically all characters except Asaria. I know I've said a lot of negative things so far, but if you are willing to trudge through 11 hours of okay, then I'll just say that the last 4 hours are everything you want in a King's Dark Tidings book. Now on to the spoilers. The prologue starts off strong with KDM being his usual paranoid self. But you know what they say? Just because you're paranoid doesn't mean they're not after you. Because he is suddenly attacked by 2 inhumanly fast people, one of which is wielding his little brother's black sword. And when I tell you I squealed like a teenage girl with tickets to Taylor Swift, I mean it, because this was such a great start for the book. Entris and Nanase has shared their power. Ship confirmed. It is too bad we don't get to see them together. And please, Kel, have Farson react to this in the next book. I beg of thee. Reskin is training Sina the dragon, and he is very confused by this strange training method Asarius told him about called kind words and encouragements. You know, because the training method Reskin used on Sina, known as literal torture, made her despondent. Yeah, Reskin, I wonder why subjecting someone to what you have been through could make someone sad. And when he wonders how he could have turned out if he had been trained with this method, well, go and kick my heart in the dick, why don't you, Kel? Sina reveals Rule 13. Do not be seen unless it is your intent. And I am, of course, very happy with another rule being added. So there are robots now. I was not very excited for that, as I like my fantasy and sci-fi separated. But okay, dwarves making robots, it's fine. I really like Sina though. She is not a burden to Reskin and adds to the story, which is all I'm asking for. oh god, I have Frisha trauma, when she was basically just tagging along with no purpose whatsoever, and Reskin constantly having to protect her and keep her out of trouble. Oh, the horror. I love Reskin's new armor, and I love even more how thoroughly it's described. And I'm going to read you the description now, in case you don't remember, so you can better appreciate my fan art. Reskin donned his own armor. It fit his form perfectly, not poking or chafing him in any way. He found that it was not so cumbersome as most scale armor. In fact, its ease of movement was more akin to chainmail. His were unlike the two women's armor. His had been darkened to almost black, but with a faint purple sheen. On each spalder was an image of a silvery purple dragon. The blackened, riveted, mailed coif fit snugly against his head. And then there's a mention of a helmet later on that is not described at all. I have chosen to really make Reskin's armor dragon-themed, and that includes the helmet. I know that if Kel had intended the helmet to be dragon-shaped, it would have been mentioned, but, you know, a girl can dream. I can have my dreams, okay? I really think it would have been better if the armor had been black and blue rather than black and purple, or just black. But purple and green do go well together, so it might be a conscious move to have Reskin's only blade be the black and green lightning blade. And anyway, does anyone know what has happened to Reskin's Shaylin blades? He took one from a dead sword bearer he killed, and then there was one he didn't give to Tam. But where are they? I don't remember them being in this book at all. Has he just dumped them somewhere? Or has it just not been mentioned because he hasn't used them? The inclusion of the dwarves into the story is good if only to explain the sword. Turns out that Mage accidentally made Elsium, an ancient material lost to time. Very difficult to make, and only a couple of objects were ever created. None of them swords. I think none of them were weapons, but they only specified no swords were made. It's not entirely clear what Reskin's sword does, because the material seems to be doing different things depending on which person is using it. For Reskin, it seems to be highly effective against robots and demons. It absorbs energy of strikes against it, and he can draw the lightning into himself to bolster his own power or feed his Vimara into the sword with devastating effects, mostly expressed through green lightning. The dwarf lady insists Reskin name the sword. Oh, poor little Reskin, having to come up with names for things. Pride, Cat, Sina, and now Alestra. Lightning strike in an Adianaic. And now I feel really bad for Cat the cat. He can come up with things for all the others, but not Cat? Cat just gets to be Cat? At least call her Cinnamon Roll or something. Yes, I think it is hilarious, but it is also not fair. Dafy the dwarf comes along. As a character, there is nothing I like about her. But I don't mind her either. She doesn't take up enough space to be annoying, and on her short page time she is nothing but useful and relevant to the plot. Wesson's character arc has taken a turn to the dark side. Now it isn't that destruction can be a good thing, it's the ends justify the means. In the next book, Tam will probably wage war on Chenaria and put Ilinette on the throne. I want them to be a couple, and it looks like that's where it's heading. Fjerdan will probably be Duke. Those two things sound amazing, but I wished we'd have them in this book. Those 11 hours could have been shortened by a lot. Instead, the Duke could have been presented as a problem early, then have the Raven get rid of him, and then we can have Attica, Adston, Fjerdan perspectives to switch between. Same thing with Tam and Lynette. The stuff in this book was good, but there was just too little variation. Eating an amazing meal 11 days in a row is not fun, and that's what reading this book felt like. For the first 11 hours. And I love that Reskin's cluelessness with women and social situations as a whole haven't completely disappeared. There's a lovely little misunderstanding with Aseria 7 minutes into chapter 6 that just shows us that the old Reskin is still here. Jesus fucking Christ. Reskin has not told people Tam is alive. Mr. My friend's mourning a live man is not a priority right here. Seriously, I know you couldn't have gone there yourself to tell them, but at least send a message via the Raven or something. It's doable. It wouldn't have been that much effort. It's kind of funny how Aseria has basically been passive-aggressively waiting for her boyfriend to propose. You know, with the whole soul bond thing. I think the whole you die when I die is a bad idea, but at least it can motivate Reskin to obey Rule 156, do not die. He's really been flunking that one all his life and all his death. I don't like how Aseria went to Reskin when he was emotionally vulnerable and seduced him into offering the bond. I don't care what Kel tells me. That was wrong. There is a reason the older, more experienced party don't pressure the other one with the till death do us part bond. While I didn't like Anda as a character, I am impressed by how Kel keeps you guessing with the way she writes. You know when they make a plan in fiction, and if you hear the plan, you know it's going to fail? Well, when Kel writes, she does it in a way where the writing structure itself can't tell you what's going to happen. Reskin being the Res was emphasized to the point that you wondered if he really was the legendary assassin. Reskin not being a mundane was pointed out so thoroughly, you started to wonder if those focus shields were some kind of ancient human technique lost to time or something. Anda is, in my opinion, not a very interesting character. But the way you were never sure if she'd switch sides made her POVs interesting. I'm still not sure if Anda's Smith demon, Mia, is going to be an ally that then switches sides, or if she will reveal some hidden agenda, or if she will be loyal. And I love that I don't know from just the way it's written. Interesting for future books is that Kadean's gold throne is magic and makes the one who sits on it basically untouchable and stronger magically. I just have this picture in my head about the final showdown between Reskin and Kadean, and that throne is part of it. Funnily enough, I could also picture Anda's Smith demon Mia backstabbing Kadean and blasting him with extra throne magic and killing him. Maybe to try to be queen? Mia knows what the throne does, and it's been clearly stated that she doesn't like the Crown Prince demon that's inside Kadean. I really doubt that will happen, but crack theories are fun, and it would be one hell of a plot twist if it turned out some random possessed Smith demon was the one to kill Kadean, and not Reskin. Reskin asking Tam for dating advice is hilarious, because he only does it because his studies of Outworlders have concluded that those are the kinds of things you talk with your best friend about. It's this conversation that makes me so certain that Tam and Lynette will be a couple. There's just no reason to bring their relationship up if they won't. I have come to take you to the initiation ceremony. All Reskin heard was, I have come to take you. Reskin, you horny bitch. Like I said, I don't like it that she seduced him into the bond while he was emotionally vulnerable, but I do like it that he's getting over his sexual trauma with her. It's confirmed that Reskin was stabbed in the heart by his first sexual partner. And the fact that he didn't think he died from it is kinda sad because it shows just how normalized getting life-ending injuries have been for him during his childhood. The Aelvanon's power come from emotions, so to become powerful enough to beat Kadean, Reskin goes through a sort of feelings boot camp. The training ends with Reskin beating Entris in a fight. I don't really like this, as beating a centuries-old warrior with equal magic to you seems a bit too OP. And this is coming from someone who likes that Reskin is a walking Mary Sue. For Wesson's experiment of breaking mage oaths, he needs someone who did it under duress. He seduces a woman working at the mage relay. And this is the funniest thing in the entire book, because Wesson, knowing nothing about flirting, employs the WWCD strategy. What would Celise do? You know, with her being the most flirtatious creature he's ever met. I don't remember exactly what he called her, but it was something very closely to that, and it was so funny. He didn't succeed in breaking the mage oath, only transporting it to himself. Also a funny thing, Farson happily disguising Wesson as a girl upon learning that Wesson can't grow a beard. Farson throwing people over his shoulder as a habit is also gold. Emperor Reskin is back in business with 3 hours and 45 minutes to spare. The Chielria get to meet more of the Aelvanon, and they are so happy. The Aelvanon has also decided that anyone who wants to join the fight against the demons can. This should satisfy Reskin's first agreement with the Fae, but I wouldn't be surprised if Billy or bullshit his way through this one too. Reskin and the gang breaks the siege Kylie's under with the help of the special ship that the dwarf girl built. Then there's the reunion. I love it that Frisha runs straight past Reskin to greet Tam. Thresin and Reskin have their official first meeting. Kai is hunting or some shit, so we don't get that reaction. I also wanted Queen Lucilia to be featured. And while we're at it, throw in Moldovan making jokes about how great his grandson is. I've missed the way Nick Podell does his voice. Tyrion is eager to hand off the crown like dirty laundry, but Reskin tells him he has to stay in charge a while longer while Reskin deals with things. I really wish this scene would have been longer and more expanded upon. Just have more characters and for longer react to him being alive. This is the Emperor of the Suelian who's come back from the dead, their dear friend. Just have more of the character interaction. That is my biggest criticism for this book. Too much action, too little character interactions. But the most important reunion is the best one. It is really done right. And that is Reskin and Farson. This reunion was everything I wanted. I didn't cry when Reskin died, or when Farson called him my boy, but this, my eyes watered and I was choking up. It was perfectly executed. Farson hugging him, Reskin calling Farson his family, Farson saying he never hated Reskin, only what he turned him into, Reskin saying he cares about Farson's opinion on him, Farson swearing the oath to Reskin. The only thing I was missing from this interaction was Farson calling Reskin the son I never had. If that had been included, it would have been legendary. Farson is shocked when he learns of Wesson's experiments. Farson is less surprised that Reskin approves of these experiments. Farson thinks to himself that brutal but ultimately altruistic are words that perfectly describe Reskin. And I couldn't agree more. Wesson's demon is called Asas. He is the 9th Lord of Akashnach. Mia the Smith demon says that he is powerful enough to overthrow the Crown Princess demon. It seems like the demon lords are equal in power or close to it. Remember, this was the demon Beringish wanted to put in Reskin to start with. It's unlikely Wesson could beat Kadean in a fight, since Kadean is a trained spiritua as well as demon. Tam seems to have become part Fae. Reskin badassly say, "The Suelian is ours." Did anyone feel like the ending was obvious? Not entirely, but enough that all the foreshadowing in the book was largely unnecessary. Like, we all figured out that the people in the capital were going to be sacrificed in one way or another. There was just so much foreshadowing done in both the previous book and this one that the ending wasn't all that surprising. If we'd been given less information about what was going to happen, I think it would have been better, actually. And as I have stated on numerous occasions in this video, I would have liked it if a large amount of the time used for ritual payoff would have been focused at more character-driven stuff. Like the bond with the two brands. If you want me to feel sad at one of them dying, you better lay the groundwork. I was more distressed about what happened to the Black Hall than brand number Blue becoming a demon and essentially dying, sort of. To end with, I really like the idea of Wesson spying on Kadean, and it will be very interesting to see Wesson's character progress now that he has to pretend to be a demon and be fine with all of the stuff demons do. I mean, seriously, his greeting present was a mansion filled with corpses. This is also the reason I don't entirely mind how much time Anda and Mia the demon was focused on, because I think they are going to be very important for everything that happens from Wesson's perspective, because his demon that he is sort of possessed with is well known. Anda could Mia could point out that his demon would never have let Kadean get the last word. And information like that is going to be vital. So this was my book review of Ritual of Ruin. Do share what you thought about this book in the comments. I love to get discussions about King's Dark Tidings. I live for it, really. Yeah, bye. Have a nice day.